Hello and welcome to my latest weekly video news from Madison's World. Rightmove's latest house price index data out this month, this week for this month. And interestingly, asking prices dropped actually by 1.4% this month. So perhaps evidence that sellers are at last heeding that they need to be realistic on their price to try and find a buyer. And especially for those sellers who want to perhaps close a deal before Christmas. You're too late now, but maybe that reflects why those more competitive prices were seen. But year on year, 1.2% up, 23% more transactions agreed than this time last year. Buyer demand up 6%, and a sign, therefore, the market is looking good, despite that negative news that came out this week about lenders. So obviously mortgage rates, very surprisingly, probably to many, went up this week. Expected that they'd settled. Base rate had obviously been cut a couple of weeks ago. Mortgage rates had come down as a result of that, but this week they've gone up. And why is that? Well, it's because the Bank of England has been quite clear now that they're not looking to drop rates maybe as quickly as some thought they might. So lenders work on really, really tight margins. They price so finely to keep their product competitive. So the minute that there is a fluctuation or something seen in the market that means they don't feel they're going to get that pricing, then they will address their mortgage rates. They only came down fractionally, also went up fractionally. I mean, as ever, our media loves to be so negative, doesn't it? But it was a tiny, tiny change, but we jumped on that as mortgage rates going up, doom and gloom. But generally, the market is looking good. But the absolute strongest message at the moment, if you want to sell your property, you need to have a well-priced, well-presented property to attract buyers in what is a very competitive landscape. They've got lots to choose from, lots of price reductions going on. So if your property doesn't grab their attention, you'll be left on the shelf. As I said in that business article I wrote a couple of weeks ago, or months ago now, actually. Time flies, doesn't it? There's lots going on with renting at the moment and the private rental market. So obviously, the Labour government are very, very keen to give more rights to tenants. They are introducing this thing called the Renters' Rights Bill, which basically will give tenants a lot more protection. And one of the biggest things they want to ban in that is Section 21 notices. Now, Theresa May said back in 2019 that she was going to not go through with this banning of Section 21 notices, but Labour said they do absolutely want to. It's basically what's called a no-fault eviction. So a tenant can be in a property, looking after it, paying their rent on time, being a good tenant, but the landlord, for whatever reason, wants to get their property back, so they issue a Section 21 notice. Labour feel that is done predominantly for the landlord to get that tenant out and then introduce a higher rent in going back to the market. The reality is, though, all that is doing is in the expectation that this Section 21 ban will come into place by summer next year. Many landlords are offloading their stock. And accordingly, Section 21 evictions are now at an 8-year high. And I know I've kept talking about this, about there's a really fine line to walk between trying to protect tenants, but ultimately doing measures that mean that they are going to pay in the end. Because quite simply, if there is less rental stock out there because landlords are selling off their stock in a fear of the banning of the Section 21 and a fear that capital gains tax is going to be looked at, and they're not then re-entering the market because there's an extra 2% now on top of that previous 3% surcharge on stamp duty, so 5% extra to pay if you're buying a rental property. There's just going to be less rental stock, and tenants will feel that in the rents that they will pay for what is available. And I absolutely agree that is what's happening at the moment. If we launch properties for rent at a certain price point, they go absolutely viral. We could rent them 10 times over and achieve a lot more rent, actually. So it's tenants who are paying ultimately for these changes. It is such a fine balance. I think a short-sighted one. There we are. I have put my post in the ground on how I feel about that. Real caution is needed because the rental sector could get into a right old mess as a result of this. Let's end with quite a funny story that I read this week. Cross Flats Cricket Club in Bingley, West Yorkshire. So basically, it's next door to this big building that has had planning permission to be converted into 139 flats. But the cricket club is worried, and the local planners and the council were worried about the the damage or the injury that could be caused to residents by cricket balls flying in. So basically, it's a planning condition that they had that checked over and looked into the speed of these cricket balls. And it's basically a big row going on about it. Sport England are saying they haven't assessed it enough. They've completely underestimated the speed of a cricket ball. And Air Valley House, who are the developers, are saying that they have suggested a 3-metre tall fence along a stretch of the club boundary to try and protect against these flying balls. But that's not felt to be high enough. It'll be unsightly and it contravenes normal planning law, actually. So, they're basically having to do a lot more assessments on the speed of a cricket ball to work out whether this block of flats can go ahead. Sport England said the ball strike assessment doesn't appear to have been undertaken by a specialised qualified consultant. So they want to look at ball speeds. I thought that was fascinating. I get to this time of my life and my job, and there's not many stories that I see and I go, I've not seen that before. Interesting. It feels very autumnal here today. It's tipping down with rain. Still got leaves on the trees. That's weird, isn't it? And behind me, you can probably see my big reveal window that I was doing last week. The big reveal trail is on. Do come down and have a look at our window. If you think we are worthy of a vote, please do. I've never hoodwinked anybody into voting for us, but we'd love to, for once, just get some votes in it. We never get any. I try not to look into that too much, but if you like our window and think we deserve a vote, then come down. The maps that are around the town show the trail of who's doing the big reveal. The stars reveal the big reveal. And of course, they revealed the big new lighting of the Opera House last Friday, which I think looked fabulous. So huge well done to Tunbridge Wells Together for that one and for organising the big reveal trail. I hope you like our window. And just to end, a property that we have launched on Culverden Park Road. It's really, really beautiful, gorgeously attractive house from the outside, beautifully presented, ticks those boxes, open plan, kitchen, diner, blah, 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 blah. 4 bedrooms, great area for the grammar schools and the local primary schools and Bennett and those really strong secondary schools that are all around that St John's district, and on at a guide of 750,000. So if you would like to view that one, please do give us a call. I hope you have a great week. I look forward to seeing you next week. Bye-bye.